The beautiful Potomac River. But look closer. It's not all it appears to be. Dissolved oxygen levels have been rapidly dropping in our river because of our urban areas. There are not many strong factors of dissolved oxygen in the developed areas of the Potomac River, such as Alexandria, Virginia. The four factors of dissolved oxygen are temperature, atmospheric pressure or wind, photosynthesis, and aeration or waves. There is barely any shade on the Potomac in Alexandria as a result of deforestation. The lack of trees causes the sun to raise the temperature of the water by directly shining at it, and also shining at the sidewalks and streets. When it rains, the water runs by the impervious surfaces and gets hotter before it reaches the nearest stream or river. Atmospheric pressure. Because the warm air in Alexandria rises and does not fall to create wind, the air stays still so the oxygen cannot be brought down to the water. The photosynthesis factor does not help dissolve oxygen levels in Alexandria because there are not many plants surrounding or in the Potomac in this area. There should be some oxygen being produced from the plants to go into the water, but there's barely any here because dead zones have made it an inhabitable place for most plants to live. Lastly, aeration. There are rarely waves here in Alexandria because the buildings block wind from the water. Because the water is very still, it cannot grasp for oxygen in the air that would be transferred into the water to replenish the dissolved oxygen levels. You get a whole different view of the Potomac River if you go downstream to Heathsville. Heathsville is located in the northern neck of Virginia. A rural town, Heathsville meets most of the dissolved oxygen requirements. The water gets the shade it needs to cool down from trees. Also, the sun cannot shine on many impervious surfaces to heat up runoff water because there's not much of it in the first place. Atmospheric pressure is not an issue in this area because there is a constant wind, even if it's just a breeze. There are many aquatic plants to produce oxygen. There are also many plants along the coast of the river. These are very beneficial. The aeration is phenomenal in the northern neck, with waves that can grasp the oxygen in the air. The quality of the water seems to be perfect in Heathsville, Virginia, according to the four factors of dissolved oxygen, but there's a catch. Farms. Miles of it. The rural area makes it a perfect place to grow crops, such as soybeans, wheat, and corn. But while there are economic benefits for farmers, this farmland is greatly hurting the water. The fertilizer, herbicides, and pesticides are washing into the river and killing aquatic life by ruining the photosynthesis and respiration cycle and creating dead zones. But this issue that seems so serious has gotten much less severe. The number of farms have been declining greatly in recent years, resulting in a healthier community.
Water quality now is much improved from what it was when I was a youngster growing up. We had 5 factories here. At that time, they would always dump their processing water in the creek, and it got to the point where the oxygen and the acidity was so great that the marine environment, all the fish, crabs, everything were trying to get out of the water. General practice back then was that nobody thought it hurt anything. You could just throw anything you wanted overboard.
Every coastal town has its own issue, but there are solutions. Our 7th grade science class is improving dissolved oxygen levels in the Potomac River and its tributaries by planting trees outside our school. These trees help raise the amounts of dissolved oxygen in 2 ways. One way is the trees emit oxygen into the air, and the more oxygen there is in the air, the easier it is for that oxygen to move to the water. Trees also block 70 to 90% of the sun's energy from the ground, which cools the surfaces of the nearby sidewalks and streets, therefore indirectly cooling runoff water that passes during storms. Our river is a beautiful place, and we need to preserve it. If there is effort put into creating a solution, then together we can make a difference.